desperate for a son. He tried every trick in the book for 3 whole years, but his wife gave birth to another girl. The man was crushed. All that effort for nothing. Looking at his nephew beside him, he felt a bitter mix of emotions. Then a neighbor told him about a secret remedy. On the 1st of every month, before dawn, his wife should feed a black sesame flatbread to a bull with her left hand, guaranteed to produce a son. But his wife chased the bull halfway down the street, and the stubborn thing wouldn't eat it. So the whole village started pitching in with advice. Some told him to pray to God, others gave him special oils. A few even offered hands-on demonstrations. Finally, the day came when his wife went into labor. Half the village showed up to hear the news, and when a loud, powerful cry rang out. He was over the moon. That cry, that's gotta be a boy. But the midwife said it was another girl. The villagers were devastated. They even took back the gifts they'd already prepared. But Mahavir wasn't just being sexist. See, as a former wrestler, he'd always dreamed of winning a championship, and he believed only a son could make that happen. But the 3rd and 4th babies were girls too. Even though it tore him up inside, Mahavir decided to give up trying for a son. Not that he couldn't keep going, they just couldn't afford another mouth to feed. Daughters are fine too. At least they don't get into trouble. Little did he know, fate had handed him a gift. One day when he came home, he found 2 boys beaten black and blue. He assumed his nephew did it, so he smacked the kid and told him to apologize. But his wife said it was actually the 2 girls who did it. Mahavir swallowed his pride and apologized himself. After finally sending the neighbors away, he called his daughters over, but he wasn't angry. Instead, he asked them to reenact the whole thing. Just like that, the poor nephew became the practice dummy once again. Watching his 2 feisty daughters in action, the old man's face lit up with joy. But the girls' easy days were about to be over. The very next day, Mahavir took them to a street food stall and bought them their favorite fried snacks, as much as they could eat. Because after today, they were going to be wrestlers, and junk food would be off the table for good. The girls looked at their mother in disbelief, but there was nothing she could do. And so their father launched them into brutal training. But running in skirts was nearly impossible. So their father got some boys' clothes from the nephew, and had his wife cut the pants into shorts. Now in India, girls are not supposed to show their bare legs. What their father made them do left them too embarrassed to show their faces. But they didn't dare defy him, so they gritted their teeth and kept going. Every morning at 5 a.m., they ran, from the fields to the streets. The moment they slacked off, their father would appear like a ghost right behind them. After 2 hours of cardio, it was strength training on top of that. And even at night, they weren't allowed to watch their favorite shows. So the sisters begged their mother for help, but she just told them, for the next year, just pretend you don't have a mother. Clearly, their father wasn't kidding about this wrestling thing, but the whole village treated it as a joke. Girls are meant for housework and raising children. This father must be out of his mind. The girls became the laughingstock at school, but the old man couldn't care less about the gossip. If they don't suffer now, their only future will be getting married off to some old man. 3 months flew by. The basics were more or less in place. To push their training further, their father brought in their cousin as a sparring partner, but the 2 girls got absolutely demolished. Their vegetarian diet had left them with no strength. Watching his daughters get tossed around helplessly, their father decided that no matter how poor they were, he had to get them chicken for protein. But the girls had no idea what their father was planning. They just thought the training was too exhausting and wanted to quit. They even complained that the lice in their hair would ruin their marriage prospects. The very next day, their father brought in a barber and had their hair chopped short, cutting away every distraction. If you want to make something of yourself, you can't have your mind elsewhere. But kids don't understand that kind of logic. Staring at their boyish reflection in the mirror, they decided to rebel against their strict father. So the next morning, they set his alarm clock 2 hours late. When he groggily woke up, they pretended they'd already finished training and were exhausted. At night during practice, they secretly splashed water on the light bulb to kill the lights. And during sparring, the sisters deliberately threw matches, pretending they couldn't win. Their father saw through all of it, but he kept quiet. They thought he'd finally given up, and would stop pushing them, until they attended the wedding of their 14-year-old classmate. That's when the sisters finally understood why their father did what he did. On a night that should have been joyful, the bride looked lifeless, her face heavy with dread. Because at just 14, before she could even taste youth, she was being forced into marriage, motherhood, and a life at the stove. A life of pots and pans with no end in sight. She didn't even know who the groom was. And that's the fate of most women in India. She told the 2 girls, "You're the lucky ones. At least your father cares about you. At least he treats you like you actually matter. He endures everyone's mockery, fights the entire world, just so you can have a real future, a chance to be in charge of your own life." Hearing this, both girls broke down in tears. They finally understood their father's sacrifice. If they didn't prove themselves in wrestling, this bride's bleak life would be their own before long. From that day on, they stopped caring what the world thought. Their eyes were fixed on the future. Raw talent combined with relentless training. All they needed now was a little more time, and greatness would follow. The summer wind swept through the seasons, through bustling streets and quiet lanes, across these dusty country fields. Sometimes gentle, sometimes warm, it blew away the fog of the past, and rang the bells of what was to come. Sometime later, the eldest daughter Geeta could now easily overpower her cousin, and Mahavir struck while the iron was hot, taking her to compete at the local town wrestling tournament. Word of a girl wrestling boys spread like wildfire. This unprecedented matchup turned a usually empty arena into a packed house. To silence all the doubters and the boos, Geeta went straight for the biggest, strongest wrestler there. In speed and technique, she completely outclassed him. Early on, she had a clear advantage. She even had a chance to pin him down, but the guy was just too big and too strong, with raw power to spare. As the crowd roared, Geeta lost, but she'd earned everyone's respect. The organizers even gave her a special prize of 50 rupees. The winner's prize? A measly 20 rupees. Even though the whole crowd cheered for her amazing performance, losing still ate at her. Late that night, she found her father, and asked when she could fight again. Hearing that, he smiled from the bottom of his heart, because he knew his daughter had truly fallen in love with wrestling. In the matches that followed, Geeta only got stronger. With her unpredictable moves and years of hard work, she took down one opponent after another, racking up trophy after trophy. Before long, she was the talk of the town. All those doubts and sneers faded away with each crushing victory, replaced by walls of trophies and certificates. Soon she'd beaten every wrestler in the region, and reached the state level. Her principal publicly praised her and offered his sincerest congratulations. It seemed like smooth sailing from here, but the road ahead was steeper than ever. Official wrestling matches are held indoors, with completely different rules, and the local sports authority refused to fund Geeta's career. They wouldn't even provide a wrestling mat. Strapped for cash, her father bought mattresses to use as training mats instead. He carefully walked them through the indoor scoring rules. Grab your opponent's waist and bring them to their knees, 1 point. Put their back on the mat, 2 points. A back throw gets you 3. 5 points is rare but not impossible. You'd have to flip your opponent like a rainbow, and land them flat on their back. Before long, Geeta stepped onto a proper wrestling stage. For her very first official competition, at the National Junior Wrestling Championship, Geeta was unstoppable, tearing through the brackets. She'd beaten full-grown men before. These junior girls didn't stand a chance. She quickly claimed the junior championship title, and the chicken shop owner's investment was about to pay off. At the next youth tournament, Geeta once again steamrolled the competition, and took the title with ease, which also meant big profits for the chicken guy. A year later, she moved up to the senior division. All those quiet, unremarkable days of training finally revealed the power of persistence. She dominated everyone. There was no one left to challenge her in the country. She won the national championship, and became the pride of the entire village. Geeta thought her father would call it a day, but he said this was only the beginning of the dream. National champions come and go every year, but you only succeed when you win gold for your country. And her father's dream had now become Geeta's dream too. But to compete on the international stage, she had to train at the National Sports Academy, which meant at this stop on the journey to her dream, her father had to step off. Life is like a dance. The one who taught you your first steps won't always be there for the last song. All he could do now was ask the coach to guide her the right way, but his sincere request rubbed the coach's ego the wrong way.
Geeta! थाई के बीच में 90 डिग्री का एंगल होना चाहिए 90 किसने सिखाया तुझे?
Her father left like a scolded child, not knowing what else to say, and his absence would send Geeta spiraling downward. Without her father's strict hand, all the impulses she'd been suppressing came flooding out. She started fangirling over celebrities with her teammates. The hazy stirrings of romance drifted through her teenage heart. She started eating the fried snacks she'd been banned from. She started dolling herself up, chasing cheap thrills. She painted her nails. She grew her hair out long. When she came home on break and her mother looked surprised, she said her father had been doing it all wrong. Real training should be free and natural. Even with all the movies and junk food, I'm still a top national wrestler, and I've qualified for the international competition. Faced with a daughter who'd spread her wings, Mahavir could only mutter a hollow good for you. The next day, seeing her younger sister Babita coaching others in wrestling, a cocky Geeta went over and told her that their father's methods were outdated. Mahavir overheard and was furious. He told her on the spot to show him these so-called new techniques. He took her down with a single move.
यो सिखाए तेरे को साहब
Humiliated, she said she just wasn't ready. She demanded a proper match against her father. When it started, Mahavir had the upper hand, but his body, now past 50, no longer had the strength of his 20s. In the end, age was no match for youth. That night, Babita told her sister, "Dad didn't lose to you, he lost to time. His techniques aren't outdated either. You only won because you're younger and fitter." But the arrogant Geeta brushed it off. The next morning, she left home early, without even saying goodbye to her father. Watching her disappear into the distance, his heart ached with a sorrow he couldn't put into words. He grieved over the passing of time, and his own powerlessness. He couldn't beat his own daughter anymore, and he couldn't stop her from going further down the wrong path. Thankfully, the younger daughter Babita was just as talented, if not more so than her sister. Under her father's careful guidance, Babita also won the national championship. Meanwhile, Geeta's performance had taken a nosedive. She was knocked out in her very first international competition. Their father stared at the 2 gold medals hanging on the wall, not sure whether to feel pride or worry, because soon Babita would also be headed to the National Sports Academy, and he was terrified she'd follow in her sister's footsteps. But from here on, they'd have to walk their own path. When Babita arrived at the academy, she found her sister completely changed. Gone was that fierce, driven spirit she once had. Even losing an international tournament didn't seem to faze her, and she couldn't handle even a word of advice from her little sister. In the international events that followed, Gita kept losing match after match. She was even eliminated in the first round multiple times in a row. These repeated failures finally woke Gita up. She started to wonder, was she really the one who'd been wrong? But the coach told her she was simply not cut out for wrestling. Back at the academy, she started falling apart. But Babita told her, you've always been Dad's greatest pride. If you're not meant for wrestling, then nobody in India is. It was time to talk to their father. Finally, Gita gathered the courage to call him, and the moment she heard his voice, the dam broke. She sobbed and told him she was sorry. Father and daughter were reunited at last. With her father behind her again, Gita found her confidence once more. She even cut her hair short again to show she meant it. But the coach insisted Gita wasn't suited for the heavier weight class, and wanted to restrict her diet, making her drop 5 kilos. This was the ultimate dismissal of everything Gita was. When her father heard, he rushed over right away. He even rented a room nearby to coach them himself. Every morning at 5, the sisters would sneak over the wall for special training. He also smuggled in extra meals to keep Gita's weight up. It felt just like the old days again. But when a classmate discovered their secret, she ratted them out to the coach. The school board moved to expel the sisters. Their father took all the blame on himself, begging them to let the girls stay. In the end, the school showed mercy, but their father was permanently banned from campus, and the sisters were forbidden from leaving. But how could that stop a father this determined? He watched footage of Gita's losses over and over, picking apart every flaw in her game. He realized that attacking was Gita's greatest strength, but the coach had forced her to focus on technique and abandon what she was best at. That was like cutting off her own arms. Her father pointed out every weakness in her matches one by one, and through live sparring, they fixed each flaw. The reinvented Gita was back with a vengeance. She qualified for the Commonwealth Games. This was the biggest international wrestling event there was. The world's elite athletes would all be competing. Could Gita finally redeem herself? The competition kicked off, but right away, her opponent came out with overwhelming force. Gita's confidence took a hit. Her opponent racked up points easily and cruised through the first round. In the second round, Gita was getting dominated again. Her opponent was already getting ready to celebrate. Just when everyone thought she was done for, her father's voice boomed out. Fired up by her father's words, Gita dug deep. She gave it everything and finally started scoring. She caught up to her opponent and turned the tide. She clawed back to take the second round. Now it was down to the deciding round. But the clueless coach told Gita to play it safe and focus on defense. Her father saw this and urged her to keep attacking. In the third round, fueled by her relentless offense, she quickly built up a comfortable lead. At the crucial moment, she nailed a leg sweep that sent her opponent crashing down. She won the match. The entire arena erupted. But the coach, bitter that Mahavir had stolen his glory, held a grudge. Gita's next opponent was even tougher. She was known for her lightning-fast attacks. This time the coach told Gita to stay aggressive, but her father flipped the script. He told her to focus on solid defense. If she could weather the storm of quick attacks, her opponent would lose her composure. Then all Gita had to do was wait for an opening and strike. During the match, Gita stuck to her father's game plan. Her defense was airtight, practically bulletproof. Frustrated and unable to score, her opponent started racking up fouls.
Points ना मिलेंगे तो वो तावड़ी होगी, पक्का देगी।
और ये नाओमी का अटैक, गीता थोड़ी मुश्किल में।
वही मौका।
गीता का काउंटर अटैक। पॉइंट्स गीता को।
Gita defeated her opponent and advanced to the finals. In the post-match interview, the coach shamelessly took all the credit, but Mahavir was more worried about what came next. Gita's final opponent had already beaten her twice in the first round. In her own interview, the opponent talked trash, vowing to completely destroy her so-called rival. Facing someone this formidable, Gita couldn't help but feel the nerves creeping in. Her father told her, if you win silver tomorrow, people will forget you soon enough. But if you win gold, you'll become a role model. A role model for millions of girls across India. His words gave her an unshakable resolve. But just before the final was about to start the next day, the vindictive coach had Mahavir locked inside a storage room. No matter how loud he shouted, nobody came. The final began, and Gita was steady and precise. She waited for the right moment, probing for weaknesses. Then she pounced. She took the first round, but then she noticed her father's seat in the stands was empty. His absence knocked the wind right out of her. In the second round, her enraged opponent fought back hard. Without her father there, Gita lost all the confidence she had in round one. Her opponent seized the momentum and took the second round. Now everything came down to the final round, but Gita looked up again. Still no father. The third round began, and her opponent attacked with fury. A takedown put her up by 3. Every one of Gita's attacks was easily neutralized. Her opponent kept pressing, piling on point after point. Time was running out. Just when everyone was sure Gita was finished, a memory flashed through her mind, her father's voice from childhood.
बात हमेशा याद रखना बेटा। हर जगह तन्ने तेरा पापा ना आवेगा। मैं सिर्फ लड़ना सिखा सकूं। लड़ना तन्ने खुद है। जोर लगा। बाहर निकल।
Her opponent was leading by 4 points. Pulling off a comeback with just 22 seconds left seemed absolutely impossible, but Gita refused to give up. As every second ticked away, she kept pushing, kept searching for that one opening.
सामने वाले के दिमाग से खेलना है। दाव दिखाना कुछ है और लगाना कुछ।
और ये का शानदार मूव, क्या समय उनका साथ देगा?
The entire arena exploded. Geeta didn't just pull off a miracle in this match. She rewrote the history of India. She had finally won the gold medal she'd fought so hard for. Meanwhile, locked in that room, her father was still agonizing over the result. When the Indian national anthem started playing, he leaped to his feet. He knew the dream had come true. Staff finally found and freed him. He rushed to the arena as fast as he could. The moment Geeta saw him, she dropped her flowers and ran straight into his arms. Father and daughter locked eyes, both blinking back tears. In that moment, his eyes overflowed with pride for his daughter, and in hers, nothing but gratitude for her father. She took off the gold medal and placed it in his hands. It was the dream he'd never been able to fulfill on his own, and now that dream had been passed on and realized. And Geeta finally heard the words her father had always wanted to say but never did.
शाबाश।
In this moment, every sacrifice was worth it.